Want to have a paradise on earth? Simple. Stop killing humans and animal people.
Today we're having a nationwide animal rights march. In South India, we're organizing it as part of Bengaluru Brigade for Animal Liberation. The idea is to march for animal rights, to spread awareness about the concept of veganism, and to help people see that veganism is not extreme, that it's not aggressive, but it's a social justice movement meant to highlight that animals are sentient beings and not commodities.
Cordial greetings, dear viewers. As you explore the charming villages of Italy, you might be greeted by the warm-hearted locals with Benvenuti nel nostro bel paese, which means welcome to our beautiful country. I am Chiara, a restorative artist who repairs and revives classic frescoes to their original luminous and inspiring beauty. The compassionate inhabitants of Italy cherish your enthusiasm and generosity, which radiates as a spirit of warmth and hospitality in every circumstance. May heavenly love always guide your way as you seek to foster a more compassionate and harmonious world. Throughout the history of mankind, the divine messages are often shrouded in mystery. Prophets, messiahs, or whichever names you call them, are often persecuted and oppressed, their words obscured. But how do we distinguish the true from the false? To do so, one can only rely on the divine's guidance, and the truth will reveal itself to those who earnestly seek it. The venerated Saint Francis of Assisi, vegetarian, is affectionately acclaimed as the patron saint of ecology and of animal people. He is one of the most beloved and influential religious figures in all of Roman Catholic history. His profound love for all sentient beings and the natural world, as well as his unwavering devotion, profound gospel wisdom, and his enlightened way of reminding people of the true teachings of Jesus Christ, have endeared him to the hearts and minds of countless individuals. Throughout the centuries, St. Francis of Assisi has also been attributed with prophetic insights, including predictions of significant events and challenges that humanity would one day face. In the subsequent Ancient Predictions programs, we will explore the numerous astounding prophecies made by St. Francis and how we can prepare to confront the challenges they foretell. The venerated St. Francis of Assisi, born in Italy in 1181 or 1182, is a revered figure in Christian history and known for his remarkable life and missions. St. Francis was an Italian Catholic, friar, deacon, preacher, and the founder of the Franciscan order, which emphasized simplicity, poverty, and devotion to God. Along with St. Catherine of Siena, St. Francis of Assisi is recognized as one of the patron saints of Italy. One of St. Francis' notable missions was his commitment to caring for creation. With a profound reverence for all living beings, he observed a compassionate vegetarian lifestyle, viewed all nature as a reflection of God's magnificence, and acknowledged every creature as a cherished brother or sister. Many stories describe his communication with animal folk and how many of them would come to listen to his teachings, then did not want to leave his side afterward. As a result of his deep love for the environment and our animal friends, he became widely known as the patron saint of ecology and of animal people. Despite being brought up in a well-off merchant family, St. Francis of Assisi abandoned all his privileges and material comfort in his early 20s to embark on his mission to spread the gospel. He was imprisoned during the 1202 war that broke out between Assisi and Perugia, and it is here that he received visions from God and heard the voice of Jesus Christ, vegetarian. He was told to live a life of poverty and simplicity and to rebuild the church, which at that time was corrupted by those seeking wealth and following political aspirations. Thus, he was called on to restore people's faith in Christianity. After commencing his preaching in Assisi, he was soon accompanied by a dedicated group of 12 loyal devotees, and their numbers grew to include thousands of faithful who eventually became recognized as the Franciscan friars. One of the remarkable aspects of St. Francis of Assisi's life was his experience of the stigmata, a profound spiritual phenomenon. In 1224, at the mountain retreat of Laverna, or Alfania, near Assisi, St. Francis of Assisi received a vision that left him with wounds. These sacred wounds appeared on his hands, feet, and side, resembling the wounds suffered by Jesus Christ during his crucifixion. St. Francis is considered to be the first recorded person to receive the stigmata of Christ, which was a testament to his deep spiritual connection and self-sacrificial devotion to Christ. The stigmata of St. Francis astonished the Christian world and remains a subject of fascination and reverence among the faithful and scholars alike. St. Francis is renowned for his ability to foresee and predict future events with remarkable accuracy. Moreover, his prophecies were not mere predictions, but rather reflections of his spiritual insight and his ability to perceive God's plan for the world. These prophecies encompass a wide range of topics, including the future of the Church, significant world events, and the challenges that humanity would face. Here are a few examples of the predictions attributed to St. Francis of Assisi that came true. St. Francis frequently spoke of a prophetic vision in which he foresaw his friend, the Cardinal of Ostia, ascending to the position of Pope. This prediction came to fruition on March 19, 1227. When the Cardinal of Ostia assumed the papal role, adopting the title Gregory IX.
Che il cardinale ostiense sarebbe eletto papa. Predisse molte volte che il signor Ugolino, cardinale ostiense, col quale era unito dalla più stretta amicizia, sarebbe innalzato al pontificato, in tutte le letterine che gli dirigeva, facendo la soprascritta al futuro padre delle nazioni e al venerabile in Cristo vescovo di tutto il mondo, eccetera, il che fu confermato dall'avvenimento, poiché egli successe nel pontificato ad Onorio III e fu appellato Gregorio IX.
St. Francis prophesied the establishment of a new religious order that would flourish and extend its reach across the globe. In the 13th century, he laid the foundation of the Franciscan order, which later branched out into multiple orders and collectively became known as the Franciscans.
che egli fondata avrebbe e sposata la religione dei minori. Mentre viveva ancora nel secolo, invitato dai suoi compagni ad una cena lautamente imbandita, si nascose in una parte remota della casa e alquanto assorto fissamente pensava. Interrogato poi dai compagni quali gravi pensieri volgesse in mente, forse dicono: hai stabilito di prender moglie? Per appunto, rispose, e più bella di quante ne abbiate mai vedute, intendendo della religione che per ispirazione di Dio aveva determinato di fondare.
At his deathbed, St. Francis prophesied an impending devastating global famine that was believed to have been avoided by the merits of a certain poor man. This predicted famine was anticipated to resurface after the death of this poor man, resulting in widespread hunger and hardship among the population. Remarkably, this prophecy was fulfilled as it was revealed that the very same poor man was none other than St. Francis himself, and through his virtuous deeds as a saint, the famine was delayed until his passing. Subsequently, numerous famines occurred, leading to immense starvation, adversity, and the loss of countless lives.
Che per i meriti dei santi il Dio molte volte si ritiene dal punire i peccatori. Il santo predisse una volta a Fra Leone che la fame avrebbe invasa tutta l'Italia, dicendo: «Ahi, fratel mio, a cagione dei peccati dei popoli, Dio manderà una gran carestia nel mondo, ma per i meriti d'un certo non so qual povero che ora vive nel mondo, il Signore ha differito questo flagello. Però, morto lui, cotal fame infierirà in guisa, che per la penuria miserabilmente periranno innumerevoli persone». Disse questo al beato Leone, essendo imminente la morte, ma l'intese da Cristo nel monte Alvernia, la qual cosa, con altre rivelategli, egli disse che avrebbe taciuta sino all'ora della morte. Come cessò di vivere il santo, questa profezia ebbe compimento, poiché tutta l'Italia fu colta da sì gran carestia che le povere persone usavano per cibo non solo le erbe, ma le cortecce degli alberi. Onde seguì pure sì gran mortalità che dappertutto appariva l'immagine della morte. Mentre tal carestia imperversava, comparve il Beato Padre a Fra Leone e manifestò che egli era stato quel povero, per i meriti del quale Dio differì questa piaga.
The word poor, humbly attributed to the man whose virtues had delayed the predicted famine, was by no means lacking in spiritual sense. Despite being prophesied as the poor man, St. Francis' exceptional qualities and profound connection with the divine revealed an abundance of spiritual richness. During a lecture in New Land Ashram, Taiwan, or Formosa, in 2018, our most compassionate Supreme Master Ching Hai explained the saintly and kind qualities of St. Francis.
St. Francis, when he was still a monk, sometimes he saw people have no clothes outside. He just took off everything, give it to him, and then walk home like that. And all the monks go him, "This is indecent, this is very bad boy, why you do this?" He said, I didn't know it's a bad thing to do. It's just somebody has no clothes. Some poor people cold and have no clothes, so I give it to him. We monks supposed to give, no? So innocently. Yeah, because he was in such a state of mind that he didn't think too much. That's why sometimes he lifted himself up. His body went up to the top of the church. Yeah, it's not because he wanted to. Just sometimes he was in that state of mind, okay? Also, maybe he had attained some of this power, that he could levitate without even wanting.
We will explore more of his prophecies in our upcoming episodes, including an intriguing prediction that foretells the rise of power of a false pope during a time of great tribulation, and how we can prepare to face this formidable challenge. During tumultuous times, our world yearns for those who embody hope and serve as beacons of light. Among the compassionate and wise, some step forward and assume influential roles to carry out their noble missions. However, not all who declare goodness truly embody it. and some ascend to their positions through deceit and illegitimate means. As forewarned and prophesied, such occurrences are mentioned in St. Francis of Assisi's prophecy. In this episode, we unveil the revelations from St. Francis of Assisi, vegetarian, exposing the audacious individual who has illicitly grasped a position of significant influence with malicious intent. After having received the stigmata of Christ, the venerated St. Francis of Assisi lived in constant pain and almost totally blind for 2 years. Shortly before his physical departure, St. Francis of Assisi called all members of his order and foretold them of the coming great tribulations and the danger of a false pope.
Che avverrebbe un grande scisma e una grave tribolazione nella Chiesa. Poco innanzi la morte, convocati i frati, gli ammonì delle future tribolazioni, dicendo: «Diportatevi virilmente, o fratelli, fatevi animo, e aspettate pazientemente il Signore. S'affrettano a venire i tempi di una grande tribolazione ed afflizione, nei quali le perplessità e i pericoli, temporalmente e spiritualmente, inonderanno. Si raffredderà la carità di molti, e soprabbonderà l'iniquità dei malvagi».
The venerated St. Francis of Assisi also warned:
taluno non eletto canonicamente nel momento di quella tribolazione, assunto al papato con l'astuzia del suo errore, macchinerà di porger la morte a molti.
In other words, a false pope would come to be in power as the head of the Catholic Church at the Vatican. Nature mirrored Pope Benedict's premonitory with omens of lightning reported in the news.
Within hours of Pope Benedict announcing that he was to resign, take a look at this. Lightning struck St. Peter's Basilica. You can see it again now in slow motion.
Lightning struck St. Peter's Basilica twice immediately following the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI. Now, some people might not make anything of that, but lightning is something in sacred literature that almost always carries spiritual connotation. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's evil, like when Jesus referred to Satan as falling like lightning.
Who were these cautions concerning? Following Pope Benedict's unexpected resignation, the optimistic anticipation and hope for a new pope were high. However, a man assumed the role of the pontificate through villainous means that are in opposition to the canonical laws. This individual, who we will refer to as P. Francis, has taken the position of pope without proper legitimacy. He thus lacks recognition by many as an official pope. The integrity of the election of the Pope relies on rules from the Code of Canon Law. According to Universi Dominici Gregis, or UDG, these rules govern various aspects of the papal voting process, including the conduct of the cardinal electors and elects. Two notable articles in this regard are UDG 81 and 82. UDG Section 81 is a decree related to the conduct of cardinal electors, specifically concerning their non-participation from taking part in making any agreements, promises, or commitments that could influence their vote in favor of a particular individual. UDG Section 82 restricts cardinals prior to the election from making any agreements or commitments that could influence their actions or decisions in the event of their election as Pope.
Universi Dominici Gregis, Section 81.
The cardinal electors shall further abstain from any form of pact, agreement, promise, or other commitment of any kind which could oblige them to give or deny their vote to a person or persons. If this were in fact done even under oath, I decree that such a commitment shall be null and void, and that no one shall be bound to observe it. And I hereby impose the penalty of excommunication latae sententiae.
Universi Dominici Gregis,
Section 82. I likewise forbid the cardinals before the election to enter into any stipulations, committing themselves of common accord to a certain course of action, should one of them be elevated to the pontificate. These promises too, should any in fact be made, even under oath, I also declare null and void.
Universi Domni Chigre Chis.
Section 76. Should the election take place in a way other than that prescribed in the present Constitution, or should the conditions laid down here not be observed, the election is for this very reason null and void, without any need for a declaration on the matter. Consequently, it confers no right on the one elected.
The statement P. Francis gave to a major Italian newspaper, Il Messaggero, in 2014 clearly shows the invalidity of his election as the Pope due to his breaking these laws.
I follow that which the cardinals requested during general congregations before the conclave. I'm going in that direction. The Council of 8 Cardinals, an external organism, emerged from there. It was requested to help in performing the curia. My decisions are the fruit of the meetings before the conclave. I have done nothing alone.
An influential and radical Colombian talk show host, who was also the president of La Gran Colombia University and director of Teleamiga television network, Jose Gallet, openly claimed that Pope Francis is a false prophet who is paving the way for the Antichrist, and that Francis was elected by a mafia of cardinals. In an interview with El Espectador on September 3, 2017 in Spanish, Jose Gallet commented,
Este es un papa ilegítimo. Ilegítimo porque fue nombrado no por el Espíritu Santo, sino por una mafia de cardenales. Mafia de cardenales es expresión que yo no uso. La utilizó precisamente el jefe de la conspiración, el cardenal Daniel, el cardenal europeo, jefe de la conspiración, que dijo que una mafia de cardenales. Muerto de risa, con desparpajo y con descaro. Él confesó, y con maniobras politiqueras prohibidas por la Iglesia, bajo pena de excomunión, esos cardenales eligieron a Francisco. Entonces, el origen de Francisco es un origen ilegítimo.
A secret sect of cardinals has openly boasted in their pride and arrogance to plotting against the Catholic Church. The group wanted a drastic reform of the Church to make it much more modern and for Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio to head it. Cardinal Daniels, September 24th, 2015.
De groep van St. Gallen, dat is een soort naam die deftig is. Maar eigenlijk zeiden wij van onszelf en van die groep de maffia.
Wanneer paus Johannes Paulus II sterft in 2005, schuift de groep al de huidige paus naar voren als zijn opvolgers.
In 2013 heeft deze groep eigenlijk wel haar streven bereikt, namelijk met de keuze van paus Franciscus.
Cardinal Godfried Daniels was a key member of the very St. Gallen Mafia he mentioned in 2015, a group of powerful churchmen who worked behind the scenes to get Pope Francis elected in 2013. Their goal? According to historian Henry Sire, to gather these powerful, like-minded prelates together to use their vast networks of contacts to bring about what political analysts would recognize as regime change, discarding priestly celibacy, offering communion to divorced and civilly remarried Catholics, voting for pro-abortion politicians, and normalizing homosexuality. According to German journalist and author Paul Bade, in an interview conducted by the National Catholic Register, at the invitation of Cardinal Silvestrini, the St. Gallen group met in Villa Nazareth. The purpose of the meeting? To prevent the election of Joseph Ratzinger. This meeting, called by Silvestrini, was held, according to Bade, only 3 days after Karol Wojtyła, or John Paul II's, death. The 2005 conclave proved unsuccessful for the St. Gallen Mafia, as Ratzinger was elected. But 2013 was another story.
Pope Francis was the candidate of the St. Gallen lobby, whose object is a change in church teaching, a relaxation of discipline on sexual morality. And this is what Pope Francis is implementing.
We have come to a point that even simple people with little knowledge of doctrinal issues understand that we have a non-Catholic Pope, at least in strict sense of the term.
Etc.
My name is Alessandro. I am an eco-friendly goldsmith who transforms recycled metals into new goods such as utensils and fine jewelry. Great power comes with great responsibility, and if this is used for selfish and evil acts, this inevitably will lead to doom. As we explored last week, St. Francis of Assisi, vegetarian, foretold that a man would assume the position of a pope through unconventional means. This man would misuse his power of influence to carry out destructive acts, dragging countless others into the depths of sin and death. In today's program, we will share the details of St. Francis of Assisi's prophecy and his warnings concerning the wicked deeds of this individual, who seems to be none other than P. Francis, currently sitting at the top office of the Catholic Church.
Taluno, non eletto canonicamente, nel momento di quella tribolazione, assunto al papato con l'astuzia del suo errore, macchinerà di porgere la morte a molti.
As we discussed in the last episode, P. Francis was not justly appointed according to canon law. And since his cunning designation, one of the most destructive acts of P. Francis is that he encourages priests to forgive those who support and promote the merciless act of killing unborn humans through abortions, as well as to forgive those women who have had an abortion carried out, despite God's commandment, "Thou shalt not kill."
Announcement from the Pope this morning. He is granting priests the ability to forgive abortions. Pope Francis had granted all priests the right to forgive abortions in 2015 for the Holy Year of Mercy, which just ended. But today's announcement makes this practice permanent.
Tecnicamente è un'espressione che coinvolge tutte le persone che sono coinvolte nell'aborto, quindi dalla donna, dall'infermiere, dal medico, da chi sostiene questa indicazione. Quindi il peccato di aborto è globale e quindi il perdono dal peccato di aborto è ugualmente onnicomprensivo, tocca a tutti coloro che sono attori di questo peccato.
Although he claims that this forgiveness is an act of mercy, his actions and outright support of outspoken abortion advocates and politicians tell a different story and suggest that his words are mere smoke and mirrors. His behavior directly suggests that he too is in favor of abortion. Consider, for example, that he recently appointed an outspoken pro-abortion campaigner, Mariana Mazzucato, to the Pontifical Academy for Life. Why would one do this when abortion is clearly opposed by the Catholic Church?
Pope Francis has appointed a pro-abortion atheist as a full member of the Pontifical Academy for Life.
Pope Francis is a very up
to date with Matsukato because he actually praises her, goes all out to praise her in his book Let Us Dream. And Matsukato returns the compliment on Twitter, saying basically, I never believed that as an atheist I would fall in love with this Pope. So they're like two pigeons in love, cooing away at each other. And my source, a very high-level source in the Vatican, has confirmed that this appointment came directly from Pope Francis.
It is no wonder that this action has caused confusion and distrust within people in the Catholic faith. Professor of Jurisprudence, Dr. Robert P. George, has openly stated that this is deeply disturbing. Professor George is a Catholic and advocates for the right to life. He told the Catholic news agency, CNA,
"The Pontifical Academy for Life exists to advance the Church's mission to foster respect for the profound, inherent, and equal dignity of each and every member of the human family, beginning with the precious child in the womb. Either one believes in this mission or one does not. If one does not, then why would one wish to be part of the Pontifical Academy? And why would someone with appointment authority appoint someone to the Academy? I can think of no explanation that is not shocking and scandalous."
In addition to this, P. Francis also granted a prestigious award to another former politician who is known for their activism in favor of abortion rights, Liliane Plumen, who said that the award came after much personal investment in contacts with the Vatican.
Pope Francis conferred the title Commander of the Pontifical Equestrian Order of St. Gregory the Great on Liliane Plumen, a Dutch politician and vocal agitator for abortion rights. Last year, Plumen founded a pro-abortion organization called She Decides, which offers funding and support for international NGOs that provide, facilitate, or campaign for abortion.
On February 8, 2016, one of Italy's most prominent dailies, Corriere della Sera, published an interview with Pope Francis in which he praised Italy's leading abortion proponent, Emma Bonino, as one of the nation's forgotten greats.
And former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who openly supports abortions and was denied sacrament by her local archbishop, was instead allowed by P. Francis to take communion.
I really would prefer not to do this, but I cannot in my conscience allow the situation to continue and cause this scandal.
That was Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone last month, explaining why he banned House Speaker Nancy Pelosi from receiving communion in the Archdiocese of San Francisco. This is Pelosi today, before witnesses say she received the Eucharist at the Vatican. Archbishop Cordileone banned Pelosi because of her outspoken support of abortion rights. He sent this letter to her and to the faithful on May 20th, saying she is not to be admitted to Holy Communion in accordance with Canon 915 of the Code of Canon Law. That law says Catholics obstinately persevering in manifest grave sin are not to be admitted to Holy Communion. The Archbishop says the decision came after years of prayer, fasting, and consultation with church leaders.
P. Francis also supports Joe Biden, who pushes to use taxpayer money to both fund abortion and to restore Roe v. Wade, which was overturned, enabling individual states to make abortion illegal.
More than a dozen states are enforcing extreme abortion bans. Make no mistake about it. If Congress passes a national ban, I will veto it.
President Joe Biden challenges the notion that Catholic bishops do not want him to use taxpayer dollars to pay for abortion. He even brought up the Pope in his defense.
Catholic bishops are demanding that federal tax dollars not fund abortion. No, they are not all doing that. Nor is the Pope doing that.
Thus, we can see that P. Francis is really in favor of killing innocent babies. He unashamedly is going against the Catholic Church's teachings and ignoring God's commandment of "Thou shalt not kill" by publicly supporting, praising, rewarding, and promoting abortion activists. This evidence points squarely at Bergoglio, or P. Francis, as the false pope as foretold by the venerated Saint Francis of Assisi, who would lead many into wicked acts, errors and deaths or destruction, as they agree with the devils instead of opposing it. All this in a world where, according to the World Health Organization, around 73 million abortions take place worldwide annually. It has been the leading cause of death for 4 years in a row, and as an online article stated, this elevates abortion to the level of genocide. Saint Francis of Assisi, vegetarian, was said to have been illuminated from the rays of divine light. He used his God-given insights and profound wisdom to warn humankind of severe challenges that they would one day face, especially from within the Catholic Church. As humanity has strayed from the path of goodness, we face much evil in the world now, and his writings have sounded the alarm.
Allora la verità da alcuni predicatori verrà taciuta, da altri sarà conculcata e negata. La santità della vita da quelli che la professano sarà posta in derisione, per lo che il Signore manderà loro un degno non pastore, ma sterminatore.
As Saint Francis of Assisi warned, the current Pope, whom we refer to as P. Francis, and many who hold high ranks within the Catholic Church, do not hold human life to be sacred. As we learned in our previous episode, P. Francis publicly appoints, rewards, honors, and celebrates outspoken abortion activists. He is a so-called preacher who tries to silence the shameful truth that there is a startling number of victims of sexual abuse perpetrated by the Catholic Church all around the world. This includes the molestation of toddlers, children, boys and girls, men and women, and even nuns.
A massive child sexual abuse scandal has rocked the Catholic Church in Portugal. The church members molested more than 4,800 children in the last 70 years. Most of the victims were 10 to 14-year-olds. The youngest of them was a 2-year-old.
Religious life in Japan is dominated by Shintoism and Buddhism, with less than 1% of the population practicing Catholicism. Despite the small numbers, allegations of abuse have surfaced against Catholic clergymen in recent years.
Unprecedented child abuse scandals in Africa are compromising the Catholic Church.
Startling new report detailing decades of sexual abuse in Baltimore.
This 456-page report, the product of a 4-year grand jury investigation in Baltimore, reveals decades of unspeakable crimes against children perpetrated by members of the clergy in Baltimore and covered up by the leaders of the Catholic Church there. There are accounts of teenagers being chained and whipped, of 2 little girls, grade schoolers, abused hundreds of times by one priest, and on and on and on,
etc.
We were shown Father Maskell's office, and the lady said, these girls are so lucky. If they have any problems at all, they have Father Maskell here to guide them in anything they might need help with. And I was naked within the first 5-10 minutes of being in his office. We would see other girls lined up outside of his office. As I would go out, another one would go in. It was a parade.
Both of those men came to my house, and they would rape me in my own bed, in my own house.
People have killed themselves because of what he did in that room.
He told me, nobody's going to believe you over me. Nobody's going to believe you over a priest.
My life just went to hell.
Now, in the Me Too era, there's a growing chorus of nuns speaking out as survivors of abuse as well.
In India, a bishop currently faces charges for repeatedly raping a former Mother Superior.
They tell them, keep quiet or our congregation will be persecuted. These women can't even contemplate leaving because they don't have any alternatives. They have no trade, no support group. They've severed ties with their families, so they are forced to endure this abuse that often leads to pregnancy, and the priests or bishops force them to have abortions. We have many testimonies from nuns who had more than one abortion in this way.
Instead of protecting victims, Pope Francis has promoted known rapists within the Catholic Church and simply moved clergymen to different countries or dioceses when their sexual abuse has been uncovered, thereby allowing them the freedom to prey on other innocent victims in their new location. His actions show that he does not want to stop the rampant sexual abuse that ruins the lives of countless innocent victims. If he sincerely wanted to do so, he would remove sexual offenders from the clergy. Thus, the actions of Pope Francis reveal that he is trying to conceal sex crimes rather than fix the problem.
On the ground, as cases in the US mount, prosecutors and activists say the church is fighting hard against survivors. Pope Francis has vowed to root out child sex abuse and created clear guidelines on reporting cases. But survivors groups say the church cannot be trusted to police itself.
Throughout the history of this crisis and in every country, the issue is that the church protects itself and its reputation first and foremost, and that reporting structures that are internal and go from priest to bishop to cardinal up to the Vatican, they mean nothing.
Law enforcement needs to be brought in to investigate these claims. And in many cases, the church has resisted the involvement and engagement of law enforcement.
The church has reportedly spent millions of dollars lobbying against statute of limitations reform that would allow those with historic abuse claims to come forward.
Decades of Catholic leadership decisions and policies have allowed known child sex abusers to hide, often in plain sight.
Pope Francis, earlier this year, he drew widespread criticism, defending a Chilean bishop accused of covering up for that country's most notorious abuser priest.
His allegation, the principal one, is that between 2009 and 2010, Pope Benedict imposed a penalty on Archbishop McCarrick because he knew they had paid settlements to men that he had abused. He also took him out of public ministry. Now, when Pope Francis became Pope, Vigano claims he informed the Pope himself of McCarrick's misdeeds, and the Pope ignored this and restored McCarrick.
We have prominent cardinals taking an anti-Catholic stance on moral issues, of which we thought was settled. We have the Holy Father himself seeming to support them, to give his blessing to them.
Dishonorable cardinals, whom Francis protected or elevated. Cardinal Domenico Calcagno protected Nello Giraldo, a priest who had abused a same-sex minor. Pope Francis retained him in office. Cardinal Joseph de Kessel appointed Father Tom Flemmes as a pastor after he had been convicted of sexual abuse. Pope Francis chose Bishop de Kessel as Archbishop and named him a cardinal. Archbishop Mario Enrico Delpini moved Father Mauro Galli to a new parish after being informed that Galli had sexually abused a young man. Pope Francis named him as Archbishop of Milan in 2017. Cardinal Donald Wuerl allowed Father George Zerwis to continue in ministry after learning that he had committed numerous crimes of sexual abuse. Pope Francis praised him for his nobility, kept him in charge of the Archdiocese of Washington. Monsignor Battista Mario Salvatore Rica was engaged in grave homosexual misbehavior, got trapped in an elevator with a male prostitute. Pope Francis put him in charge of his residence and named him as a prelate.
Father Caradiva has been since proven guilty by the Vatican of sexual abuses. He's here, still in the C9.
They will stay as long as the Pope wants them there.
Thank you very much.
It seems then that only the Pope has the power to punish his cardinals. So why doesn't he take stronger action? Maybe because he too faced accusations in his homeland of Argentina long before his election.
Etc.
Our most beloved Supreme Master Qinghai has been condemning Pope Francis of his evil deeds and has revealed his true nature.
You remember this guy, Pope Francis, he's pro everything that is not moral and not humane. If you remember, he was pro-abortion because he treated those who make abortion rights into law like saints.
Yes, Master.
And he also proclaimed that sins of the flesh are not too serious, remember?
Yes, Master.
Concerning all these people who had like extramarital affair or even hinting of sexual abuse of children.
Yes, Master.
So he's also pro-child sexual abuse.
Yes.
So he's pro-abortion, pro-sin, and even encourages people to sin.
Yes, Master.
Because he says sin of the flesh are not serious. And he's also pro-sexual abuse of children, the victims. He ignores them even when they complain. They plea. Ignore the pleas of sexual abuse victims. And now he's pro-Putin or pro-war is just another evil approval.
Yes.
Nothing surprises us anymore. Is that?
No, Master.
No, not at all.
He's not pro-Putin. He's not actually.
Oh, why, Master?
Why, Master?
Do you know why I say that?
No, why, Master?
No, we don't, Master.
Because he's pro-Satan.
Yes.
Right.
So, it's worse.
Yes.
You know already many disciples saw him like an evil demon.
Yes,
Master.
A very special and ugly looking demon.
میخواهم تجربه‌ام در یک مدیتیشن را با شما در میان بگذارم. چهره واقعی پاپ فرانسیس را دیدم که به شکل یک موجود ترسناک درآمده بود. با دهان و پوزه بسیار بزرگ با دندانهای تیز و بلند. او میخندید و داشت یک انسان را به صورت زنده میخورد.
我打坐在境界中，去到教宗方济各所在的地方，见到他是一个恶魔的恐怖形状。教宗察觉到我来了，没有眼珠的双眼就射出邪恶的绿光，对我张牙舞爪，发出野兽般的低吼。
I went to meditate and suddenly went into samadhi. I clearly saw the real body of the incumbent pope. He is the crocodile devil with hard scales all over his body, who emits a grimy and evil magnetic field. His long mouth, with vicious, protruding fangs, was exhaling an extremely dirty breath. He looked extremely frightening.
Etc.
In the beautiful Italian language, I would greet you with Ciao spettatori saggi. That's hello, wise viewers. I am Isabella, a botanical illustrator of medieval Italy. A true representative of God should glorify the words of truth and guide humanity towards the path of Christ. Yet, as Saint Francis has warned, there are those who conceal their true intentions beneath the guise of holiness. One figure in particular continues to deceive and sow chaos by endorsing unholy behaviors and attitudes that directly go against the teachings of God. As foretold in the prophecies of Saint Francis, such a person will defile the words of God and lead the faithful astray. In today's show, we will uncover the identity of this Antichrist figure and learn of the cautionary messages embedded within Saint Francis's insightful prophecies.
La santità della vita, da quelli che la professano, sarà posta in derisione, per lo che il Signore manderà loro un degno, non pastore, ma sterminatore.
The one whom we refer to as P. Francis acts more like a political figure when it comes to matters of the world. Instead of abiding by God's teachings, he allies himself with those who oppose God's laws and actively lobby against the virtues outlined in the Holy Scriptures. As we discovered in our previous episode, P. Francis supports abortion and abortion proponents in various ways. He has also refused to directly criticize Russia for the country's savage, unprovoked war on Ukraine or Ukraine. Even as babies, children, women, and men die torturous deaths and are victims of weaponized rape and technologically advanced weapons at the hands of Russian soldiers and recruited mercenaries, even criminals from prisons.
Quick news break coming in. Pope Francis has slammed the NATO over the Russian-Ukraine war. The Pope has said NATO barked at Russia and paved the way for the conflict, holding NATO responsible of what is going on in Eastern Europe.
As the world watches on in horror, and retired soldiers and civilians from other countries have gone to Ukraine or Ukraine to volunteer their defense services, it is resoundingly clear that Putin is the instigator of this war and its war crimes.
So there's no need to talk about this P anymore. You can tell that he's evil himself because he's trying to defend evil.
Yes, Master. Right.
And even if he's not evil, just say you doubt whether or not he's evil, then why does he defend Russia?
Yes.
Many oligarchs.
Yes.
Rich country.
Right.
Yeah.
So money talks.
Yes, Master.
Right.
Even if it was provoked, it's not to the extent that you go and kill all the civilians or their citizens, the innocent, the defenseless.
Yes,
Master.
right.
This is beyond coward. This is beyond evil.
Furthermore, he endorses, promotes, and allows pro-abortion advocates and politicians to attend church services and has appointed sexual abusers within the Catholic Church. He has referred to pedophile and sexually abusive priests as children of God and stated, the abuser must be condemned indeed, but as a brother. Instead of taking action to defrock pedophile priests, protecting congregations and nuns from them, or even turning them over to the police. By failing to protect nuns from sexually deviant clergy, this has resulted in nuns having forced abortions and in the #NunsToo movement. By protecting rapists within the clergy that have resulted in forced abortions, P. Francis clearly fits the caution of Saint Francis. Sanctity of life will be held in derision even by those who outwardly profess it. The scandalous P. Francis has gone so far as to criticize and condemn US President His Excellency Donald Trump, who upholds Christian values and is a pro-life advocator.
Now, the United States Supreme Court has overturned the historic Roe v. Wade ruling. Abortion could now become illegal in at least 22 U.S. states.
To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in the mother's womb.
President Donald Trump stands up for unborn babies during a wide-ranging speech at the United Nations. He rejects the push for taxpayer-funded abortions.
Americans will also never tire of defending innocent life. Global bureaucrats have absolutely no business attacking the sovereignty of nations that wish to protect innocent life.
President Trump was the first and only sitting president to ever attend an anti-abortion rally. Furthermore, Mr. Trump is committed to peace. He is recognized as being the first president since Jimmy Carter to not enter the USA into a new war, and he brokered peace deals between countries such as Israel and the Kingdom of Morocco.
Great nations do not fight endless wars.
He brought peace to the Middle East. We had the news this week, James, of another peace deal. The fourth or fifth, is it, between Israel now with Morocco has signed a peace deal with Israel. This is extraordinary stuff. Many of us thought we would never see this in our lifetime. Arab state after Arab state.
Mr. Trump has publicly condemned the Russian invasion.
They have to stop it, and they have to stop it now. But they don't respect the United States, and the United States they're not doing anything about it. This is a Holocaust. This is a horrible thing that's happening.
Not only is P. Francis destroying our fellow human lives, he is also partaking in destroying the innocent animal people's lives, in stark comparison to Saint Francis of Assisi, who always cared for the meek animal folk and reverently kept a vegetarian diet.
2 días antes de entrar al cónclave del que saldría elegido papa, el cardenal Bergoglio comió en la casa del cardenal Javier Lozano Barragán, un viejo amigo muy cercano desde hace 30 años. Siempre comía con él cuando estaba de paso por Roma.
En esta silla estaba sentado y yo les pregunté que cómo les gustaría la carne. Entonces me queda viendo y me dice, ¿qué muja? Yo me le quedé viendo extrañado, ¿qué muja? Dice, sí, cruda. Yo me imaginé que muja, pues me imaginé otra cosa, no como pues así crudo totalmente. Y ya le fui, se la traje y pues le gustó bastante.
Un giorno a casa, a tavola, mi è stato domandato, ma cosa ti piacerebbe diventare da grande? Sapete cosa ho detto? Macellaio. Perché? Perché il macellaio che era nel mercato, c'erano 3-4 posti di carne, prendeva il coltello e faceva i pezzi, è un'arte. E questo mi piaceva vederlo, guardarlo. Io pensavo diventare un macellaio, mi piacerebbe.
Masquerading under the cloak of a pope, P. Francis tarnishes the teachings of Christ, committing heresy and sacrilege. As pointed out by many, he is in fact the Antichrist. This can be seen in the various comments he makes. For example,
c'è chi ritiene di poter avere un rapporto personale, diretto, immediato con Gesù Cristo, al di fuori della comunione e della meditazione della Chiesa. Sono tentazioni pericolose, sono tentazioni dannose.
He is made to be the top priest of the Catholic system's belief, and then he did everything opposite and trying to destroy the teaching of Jesus, slandering the Lord Jesus, and telling people even not to believe in God.
We need to remember that we are followers of Jesus Christ. And his life, humanly speaking, ended in failure, the failure of the cross.
Que anuncian que por las venas de Jesús corre sangre pagana. Sangre pagana.
etc. Thus, P. Francis consistently shows contempt for Jesus Christ, and we can see that his actions are to subvert followers from morality and Christ.
Don't be vegan. They won't thank you, your children. They'll just burn in the inferno of the new normal weather.
We saw the earth burn in Australia. If this crisis remains unchecked, who knows? The whole world might be next.
"如果我们不加以控制这个问题的话，上海在未来几十年会被淹没的。
You have the power to help. Children like me have a future.
The hopes of a billion children are in your hands.
As we have discovered thus far, Saint Francis of Assisi, vegetarian, had prophetic insights that he shared for the benefit of all. He issued a firm warning that someone immoral would appear who is not to be trusted.
La santità della vita, da quelli che la professano, sarà posta in derisione, per lo che il Signore manderà loro un degno, non pastore, ma sterminatore.
The phrase sanctity of life widely refers to the idea that human life is precious, holy, and sacred. As we have discovered, the evidence, according to Saint Francis's writings and current events, clearly points at the Vatican's P. Francis being the destroyer. This figure has led many astray by appointing and supporting active abortion advocates and allowing known pedophile priests and sexually abusive clergy to continue serving in the church. He fails to protect toddlers, children, men and women from these abominable men in robes who prey on the innocent, while nuns have come forward to declare they have also been shamefully raped and forced to have abortions by clergymen. By supporting abortion advocates, P. Francis supports the destruction of life. And by protecting pedophiles and sexual predators in the church, he stands by idly as the lives of the victims are ruined, with a number of them going on to commit suicide. And a high percentage of children born to Catholic priests also try to commit suicide. And he repeatedly destroys the sanctity of life and holy deeds carried out by Lord Jesus Christ, vegetarian.
God in Christ took on our sins and He became the sinner for us. When we go to confession, for example, it isn't that we say our sin and God forgives us. No, not that. We look for Jesus Christ and say, "This is your sin, and I will sin again." And Jesus likes that. If we want to know the love of God, we look at the crucifix. There we meet a man who is tortured, died, who is God, emptied of divinity, tarnished, who became sin.
Y esto es la historia del fracaso de Dios.
This here, in this item, is the history of God's failure.
Es un vía crucis.
It's the way of the cross.
The Pope added that the Lord assures us that God will pardon our iniquity and remember no longer our sins.
Un cambio di vita.
At times, I like to think about joking with the Lord. He said, "You don't have a good memory." This is the weakness of God. When God forgives, He forgets.
Gesù sa bene che con Satana non si può dialogare, perché è tanto astuto.
Allora si moltiplicheranno gli scandali. La nostra religione verrà divisa e parecchie delle altre saranno affatto abbattute, perché non si opporranno all'errore, ma gli presteranno l'assenso.
This P. Francis causes division as he leads many within the Church to consent to error instead of opposing it.
His own history in Argentina, where in 3 years he went from becoming a priest to the head of the Jesuits in Argentina, the Superior General, conveniently a year before the military coup happened, and he then became an advisor to the military junta. They murdered 30,000 Argentine people, and he helped traffic the children of their political prisoners. He was in like a dirty sock there helping the junta, so he's got all that dirty laundry background. He's faced lawsuits from his priests in Argentina who accused him of colluding with the military.
In a conference with our most beloved Supreme Master Ching Hai, vegan, she explains how P. Francis erodes people's faith.
I told you, this P. Francis, he's not worthy to be called Pope. That's why we call him P. P like PP, not P like abbreviation of Pope, no.
Yes.
He just says something sometimes trendy, but he knows nothing about it. He doesn't even understand. He probably doesn't know how to spell it. He couldn't care less.
Yes.
He's too safe and sound, and some people still respect him.
Yes.
And he just enjoys all this position. But I tell you what, I read in the news that the faithful from the Catholic Church left the church in never-before-seen numbers.
Wow.
So some churches are empty, some churches have to close because no income to keep.
Wow.
And ask the Vatican for some financial help, and the Vatican say no.
Whoa.
What for they keep the church when it's empty?
Right. Yes.
Or just some dogs and cat people going there for refuge. Oh, man. People don't believe in the church anymore. They should have the church for their refuge.
Yes.
In the stressful life, they need somewhere to go in, to pray and to believe and to take refuge in their hearts, mentally, psychologically. But the evil so-called priests, they ruined it all. They took away people's refuge, holy places, like churches.
Yes.
So the churches are now empty. You can't blame the people.
Yes, Master.
Right. They lost their faith. It's not just the faith that they lost. They lost their happiness, their anchor in their life, and they would feel very lost also. Many of them would feel terrible, would feel empty in their hearts, feel lost in life, nowhere to turn to.
Fewer than 200,000 people gathered for the Mass Pope Francis celebrated at Phoenix Park in Dublin on Sunday, compared to an estimated 1 million that attended a Mass presided by Pope John Paul in 1979.
The Church of the Annunciation just outside of Dublin. It used to be one of the largest church buildings in all Ireland, but it's been demolished because so few people attended services. Anyone over 50 in Ireland can still remember a nation where almost everyone went to church, but today live in a nation where in some areas almost no one goes to church.
The support of pro-abortion advocates by P. Francis has also caused much division. Former priest Frank Pavone was defrocked for his outspoken anti-abortion stance.
Well, the bishops have said, we don't like the emphasis you put on abortion, all right? We don't like the politics. We don't like you supporting pro-life candidates. What do they want me to do? Support pro-abortion candidates like some of them do? No thanks. The value of this work doesn't come from a letter from the Pope. And the value of this work isn't erased by a letter from the Pope. I'm getting more support from pro-life atheists than from pro-life bishops.
But how do you then respond in light of that to the fact that there are pro-choice Democrats, the president, Nancy Pelosi, and others who are able to say public things against the church and still retain their Catholic title?
Because there are powers in the church that want it that way. It just boils down to that.
Announcement from the Pope this morning. He is granting priests the ability to forgive abortions. Pope Francis had granted all priests the right to forgive abortions in 2015 for the Holy Year of Mercy, which just ended. But today's announcement makes this practice permanent.
Pope Francis has appointed a pro-abortion atheist as a full member of the Pontifical Academy for Life.
Pope Francis conferred the title Commander of the Pontifical Equestrian Order of St. Gregory the Great on Liliane Plowman, a Dutch politician and vocal agitator for abortion rights.
President Joe Biden challenges the notion that Catholic bishops do not want him to use taxpayer dollars to pay for abortion. He even brought up the Pope in his defense.
Catholic bishops are demanding that federal tax dollars not fund abortions.
No, they are not all doing that.
Catholic bishops are demanding that
nor is
federal
the Pope
tax
doing that.
The president says the Pope told him he was a, quote, good Catholic and that he should keep taking communion. That is bound to be controversial for both men. Some Catholic clergy in the United States say Biden shouldn't take communion because the president supports abortion rights, a position at odds with church teaching.
We came out from this talk about the fact that he was happy, was a good Catholic, and keep communion.
E cosa deve fare il pastore? Essere pastore. Essere pastore e non andare condannando, non condannando, sì.
Archbishop of San Francisco announced today that he is barring House Speaker Nancy Pelosi from taking Holy Communion due to her support for abortion rights. The speaker, who is a practicing Catholic, met with Pope Francis privately last year. At that time, the Vatican did not say if the topic of abortion was discussed, but the Pope has said that he sees communion as a gift and not a prize for the perfect.
Pope Francis has elevated 20 men to the rank of cardinal. One American is among them. He is Robert McElroy of San Diego, considered a surprising choice because he is a bishop and not yet an archbishop. McElroy also is among a minority of bishops opposed to denying communion to politicians who support abortion.
We now invite you to listen to the testimony of our association member that shows the true evil nature of P. Francis.
亚西西的圣方济各是一位基督教历史上真正慈悲的圣者。当他在世的时候，怜悯众生的无明，努力背负着众生的业障，尽力庇护人们，以期使世界不至于完全陷入黑暗。然而，现今梵蒂冈的教宗，它是一个没有心的假教宗，披着羊皮的恶魔，良知早已被吞噬。却敢于以13世纪圣方济各的圣名来命名自己，美其名是要纪念圣方济各，实质目的却是要借此玷污当年圣者方济各的圣名，践踏他的圣迹。 这是恶魔的计划，因为顶着方济各之名来性侵、残害儿童，行种种恶事，会令这个恶魔教宗感到更为兴奋开心，也令天界感到更恶心。当我在灵界去查看假教宗的真身时，有一次见到他是眼冒青光的变形魔鬼，发出猛兽般的吼声，朝我大声咆哮。他害怕我，因为我顶着师父给的圣光，拥有强大的力量。另一次去看时，目睹他现出巨大的黑色鳄鱼身，发出令人反胃的恶臭，样貌非常丑陋邪恶，污浊的眼神令人望之毛骨悚然。他的真身是一只鳄鱼魔，但是会行种种变化，这可不是普通等级的恶魔。恶魔也分很多等级，这个没资格称为教宗的假教宗，是恶魔族用种种邪恶污秽的物质，在他们最高等级的魔池里培养出来的魔物，被他们恶魔称之为圣斗士，是恶魔中等级最高、黑暗法力最强的角色。这听起来像电影，但却是真实的。因此他非常擅长伪装，并能用邪恶力量控制住教会，行种种残虐妇女与小孩的恶事，却不被法律所制裁。正义力量曾一起去对付假教宗，削弱他的魔力，但是他法力极强，非常不容易对付，尤其这些恶魔已经借机投胎成为人类。当恶魔有了人类肉身的包袱与伪装，又取得了教宗权势地位，就非常不容易被打败。而且宇宙中的恶魔组织会利用无形通道，运来很多无形恶魔部下护卫支援他。他们还会吸收天地恶气与大型屠宰场的巨量痛苦能量，来恢复自己的能力，恐怖至极。请全世界的天主教徒、基督徒千万要认知，如今的梵蒂冈早已被恶魔所掌控，不但不能信任崇拜他们，更千万要注意自己的安全，他们根本不再代表上帝了。
Días antes de entrar al cónclave del que saldría elegido papa, el cardenal Bergoglio comió en la casa del cardenal Javier Lozano Barragán, un viejo amigo muy cercano desde hace 30 años. Siempre comía con él cuando estaba de paso por Roma.
En esta silla estaba sentado y yo les pregunté que cómo les gustaría la carne. Entonces me queda viendo y me dice, ¿qué muja? Yo me le quedé viendo extrañado, ¿qué muja? Dice, sí, cruda. Yo me imaginé que muja, pues me imaginé otra cosa, no como pues así en crudo totalmente. Y ya le fui, se la traje y pues le gustó bastante.
Un giorno a casa, a tavola, mi è stato domandato, ma cosa ti piacerebbe diventare da grande? Sapete cosa ho detto? Macellaio. Perché? Perché il macellaio che era nel mercato, c'erano 3-4 posti di carne, prendeva il coltello e faceva i pezzi, è un'arte. E questo mi piaceva vederlo, guardarlo. Io pensavo diventare un macellaio, mi piacerebbe.
Is being criticized for remarks that he made recently to young people in Russia. You are the heirs of great Russia, the Pope declared. Great Russia of saints, rulers, great Russia of Peter I, Catherine II, that empire, great enlightened, of great culture and great humanity.
I am Luca, a humble friar of the Franciscan order in medieval Italy. My aspiration is to embody the wise teachings of Saint Francis, sharing principles of compassion, humility, and selflessness throughout the communities I serve. Saint Francis of Assisi, vegetarian, warned us of the dark times of great schisms and tribulations in the Church, when evil will gain power and people won't recognize the true pontiff anymore.
Il potere dei demoni sarà disciolto più dell'usato e la purezza immacolata della religione nostra e delle altre sarà disformata in tal guisa, che pochissimi dei cristiani con cuor sincero e carità perfetta obbediranno al vero sommo pontefice e alla Chiesa romana.
As we discovered in our previous episodes, the current Catholic Church is led by an evil entity and its demonic gangs. The Church itself is veering away from God's holy commandments, now more than ever. But even as the Catholic Church strays from the true teachings of Lord Jesus Christ, vegetarian, even slandering Christ, degrading God openly, as some examples we cited in previous ancient prediction shows. And even openly announced that Lucifer is the god of the Roman Catholic Church.
Eius Lucifer matutinus inveniat, Ille in quam Lucifer qui nescito casum, Christus filius tuus.
During this pronouncement, the cantor called Lucifer God, claiming Lucifer to be the father of Jesus Christ.
There are a few sincere seekers whose quest for truth and a direct relationship with God has allowed themselves to follow the commandments and to live with the same purity that Saint Francis of Assisi lived by. But the Church's current leader is an evil entity. Who would be the true sovereign pontiff that Saint Francis is speaking about? The following testimony from one of our Supreme Master Qinghai International Association members, all vegans, might give us a clue.
师父是亚西西的圣方济各，我不是基督徒，从没听过亚西西的圣方济各。不过，当我在网络上看到他的一张圣像，发现之前我看到师父从大卫王雕像里走出来的内在体验中所示现的那位穿斗篷的修道士，就是圣方济各。但是当时我对圣方济各毫无所知，所以认不出，也说不出他的身份。我对于师父的这个新显现的前世身份感到好奇，于是闭目打坐，想多了解圣方济各当年神圣的行止。在内在境界中，马上看到圣方济各在一个光线很幽暗的古老房子或地窖里面照顾麻风病人。这个病人的病症十分可怕，身上有很多黄黄白白的溃疡脓疮。圣方济各一脸关爱，仔细地为他擦拭着嘴边。我无法分辨那是病人的呕吐物还是脓汁。 他慈祥的神态和表情，就跟现在青海无上师造福困境中的人们一模一样，只是这世的青海无上师面容已经改变了，但他们是同一个人。我看到每天当他照顾完这些麻风病人回去后，精疲力尽，躺在一个很简陋的硬地上，硬地上铺着几块简单的布，有时候他没有躺平，就靠在墙角，为了众生的痛苦向上帝祈祷着，表情虔诚无比，脸上挂着2行泪。内在画面上可见到，当他跪地祈祷的时候，天上的众神都在倾听，有些天神会给予他一些帮助，但有时候不能，因为那是众生的业障，无法扭转。业报还是业报，宇宙法律必须公平执行。圣方济各也明白这一点，但即使如此，他的灵体却突然腾空飞到半空中，张开巨大双翼，试图护住病苦的人们，遮挡住了许多从天上降下来的黑色惩罚之雨，自己的身体都被黑雨侵湿。天使对此也无能为力，只能在天上悲哀地为他吹着号角，鼓舞他。圣方济各的处境跟耶稣基督很类似，要来地球牢笼拯救囚犯，必须被迫放弃在天堂无尽的荣光与力量，必须像一个凡人一样，用凡人的力量来完成拯救人们的心愿。我看到掌控地球的魔王尽力折腾他，阻碍他，让他度众之路颠至难行。这是一个什么样的世界？就算上帝亲自来到这里，也没有一个容身之处。
It is no surprise that we can see similarities between the teachings and examples of venerated Saint Francis of Assisi, vegetarian, and our most beloved Supreme Master Qinghai, vegan. Working tirelessly and sacrificing every second to help the needy humans and non-humans alike, caring for their physical well-being, but more so for their spiritual upliftment, our most benevolent Supreme Master Qinghai lovingly advises everyone to live their life in adherence to God's commandment, keep moral precepts, and especially leading a peaceful vegan lifestyle. Pontiff comes from the Latin word pontifex, which means bridge builder. And Supreme Master Qinghai is the bridge builder that links all of us with our true Father in heaven. Might it be possible that Saint Francis was foreseeing his own coming back as Supreme Master Qinghai during the dark times as the sovereign pontiff, or the true pope?
Vi saranno tante sì gravi opinioni e scismi nel popolo e nei religiosi e nel clero, che se non fossero accorciati quei giorni, secondo la parola evangelica, se fosse possibile, sarebbero ingannati gli stessi eletti, se in sì grande tempesta sostenuti non fossero dall'immensa misericordia di Dio.
Saint Francis continues to illustrate the dark times, that there will be huge divisions and confusion for everyone in the Church. The venerated saint also warns us that the division will be so serious that even the elect will be led to err, but there will be special guidance that will save them. Who are the elect, and what kind of guidance will they receive? Many representatives of the conventional Catholic Church show degradation of morality by sexually abusing children, nuns, men and women, partaking in monetary corruption, and there are those who cover up these wrongdoings. During these times, St. Francis says, only those who receive God's special guidance through the immense mercy of God will be saved from errors. Yet sadly, God's special guidance is not available from P. Francis, nor any of the clergy who have been led by him into delinquency.
Confining and killing animal people is against the laws of your country. Stop it.
Allora la nostra regola e vita sarà da certuni fierissimamente combattuta. Sopravverranno tentazioni immense. Quelle che allora saranno stati provati riceveranno la corona di vita, ma guai a coloro i quali, affidati alla sola speranza della religione, si intiepidiranno e non resisteranno costantemente alle tentazioni permesse per prova degli eletti.
Our rule and manner of life could mean the rules and the lifestyle that St. Francis had set up for his friars, which resembles very much the teachings of Supreme Master Qinghai. But the venerated saint predicts that this rule and lifestyle will be strongly opposed, which is happening widely. We can see this in many ways, both within the Catholic Church and society in general. Supposed Holy Church representatives feast on the dead flesh and byproducts of innocent animal beings. Violent animal people flesh and dairy industries lobby so that the public is not aware that raising animal people for food is the leading cause of climate change. These industries falsely advertise that animal people meat, dairy and eggs make people happy and healthy, when in fact it is causing widespread sickness, such as cancer, epidemics and other personal sicknesses. It also enforces a brutal and cruel life upon animal people and creates doom for our planet. It is no wonder that God commanded, "Thou shalt not kill." St. Francis abided by this commandment and maintained a loving vegetarian diet. Yet many ignore this precept, and vested interests go to great lengths to hide the detriments of raising and eating animal people for their flesh.
Much of the meat industry's lobbying depends on collaboration with paid scientists, and that's still how things work.
Ça ressemble pas mal à ce que faisaient les industriels du tabac, c'est-à-dire qu'ils payent des scientifiques pour dire le contraire de ce qui est vrai.
Did the meat industry pay you for this?
I received some compensation for my time as well as the others.
How much?
I am not going to say.
Basically, we're trying to shoot me down or discredit me.
These efforts to go after the scientists and to discredit the scientists is a key element of a much larger strategy to just gum up the entire policy-making process.
These professors will get paid a huge amount to do review by, in this case, probably the American Meat Institute. I mean, thousands and thousands of dollars. They probably get more from doing this kind of thing than they do from their regular jobs.
etc.
Saint Francis of Assisi, vegetarian, also known as the patron saint of animal people, is renowned for living a life of service. As we have discovered, part of his service to humanity seems to also be in the prophetic and cautionary words that he has left for us.
Allora la nostra regola e vita sarà da certuni fierissimamente combattuta. Sopravverranno tentazioni immense. Quelle che allora saranno stati provati riceveranno la corona di vita, ma guai a coloro i quali, affidati alla sola speranza della religione, si intiepidiranno e non resisteranno costantemente alle tentazioni permesse per prova degli eletti.
Saint Francis foresaw that at the intense times of tribulation, there would be difficulties faced by those who follow the rule and manner of life of Saint Francis of Assisi, meaning a pure life without taking the lives of animal people and firmly adhering to God's commandments.
È una festa di nozze nella quale manca il vino, ma i novelli sposi fanno vergogna, passano vergogna e si vergognano di questo. Ma immaginatevi voi finire la festa di nozze bevendo tè. Sarebbe una vergogna. Il vino è necessario per la festa.
Pope Francis has met with the President of Georgia, Salom Zurabishvili, at the Vatican. The President brought the Pope a case of wine, the origins of which have been traced back to Georgia in 6000 BC.
The Archbishop of Valladolid, Spain, Cardinal Ricardo Blasquez, and the city's mayor, Oscar Puente, traveled to Rome to show what Holy Week in Valladolid is like. Solemn and grandiose. Their meeting with the Pope was very relaxed. They gave him a book and an additional gift. It was a good red wine from Valladolid.
Y algo un poco menos espiritual.
Un poco de vino les va a soltar la lengua. Van a decir la verdad.
A group of historians from the University of Zurich investigating sexual abuse in the Catholic Church in Switzerland has uncovered more than 1,000 cases since the mid-20th century. Findings released on Tuesday include 1,002 cases of abuse of mainly minors by 510 alleged perpetrators and 921 victims. The study also concludes that there was a systematic cover-up of the abusers by the ecclesiastical hierarchies.
Our most gracious Supreme Master Qinghai, vegan, has been warning us about the terrible calamities that are imminent if the Earth's human population does not obey God's laws or the universal laws based on love and compassion. She has sent urgent messages to the world's leaders, as well as those who run businesses based on the exploitation, torture, and death of innocent animal people.
You must protect all under your wings, the co-citizens and the co-inhabitants, that is, the so-called animal people. They are utterly helpless and à la mercy of humans' power. The fact is, there is no humane slaughter, no such thing as lawful murder en masse of the innocent. The world is burning, threatens to get worse any moment. Humans and animal people perishing at an alarming rate. Heavens and earth are plaguing us with ever new, more strange diseases. Destructive signs are evident everywhere. Warning signs are amber and obvious around our world. Our climate is accelerating.
A catastrophe still unfolding in Morocco 3 days after a large earthquake hit. More than 2,800 people are confirmed dead, and thousands of survivors, maybe tens of thousands, are struggling to find the most basic necessities.
Death and destruction in Libya at the hands of Mother Nature. The Red Cross now says up to 10,000 people are feared dead after a storm slammed into the country's east, unleashing a devastating surge of floodwaters that swept away entire neighborhoods, leaving nothing but wreckage in its path. Now bodies covered in blankets are laid out along a sidewalk outside of a medical complex. Horrific evidence of the storm's indiscriminate brutality.
Gigantic infernos burning across Siberia on an unprecedented scale, a climate catastrophe. The wildfires burning in Russia now are bigger than all the fires raging across the globe combined.
After the deadly wildfires in Hawaii, hurricane devastation in Florida, and several other instances of extreme weather this year, the American Red Cross Disaster Relief Agency is launching a $1 billion response effort, as these severe weather events are expected to increase due to climate change. This year has seen a record 23 disasters that have each caused more than $1 billion in damages, according to the U.S. National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, which said the damages in total have so far cost nearly $58 billion, not including the costs from last month's Hurricane Idalia. And that dollar amount is expected to rise, as hurricane season has only just begun.
Animal people, racing, fish, egg, milk industry, etc., anything to do with animal people are the worst producers of lethal methane gas, which heats up our planet. So, stopping these brutal, murderous businesses is the fastest way to cool our earth. Make the vegan law to save our world. Make veganism the law.
Methane is a much more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. Each molecule has 120 times the effect. And the real difference between methane and carbon dioxide is that methane breaks down after about a decade. But carbon dioxide will be with us for thousands of years.
Cows are the biggest emission contributors. Bugs in their digestive system produce methane, and deforestation for their pasture releases carbon dioxide. These gases warm the planet.
The use of animals in food production is by a wide margin the most destructive technology in the world today. Reducing or eliminating animal agriculture, reducing it as much as possible, is the world's best and maybe only chance to actually put the brakes on global heating.
etc.
In a letter to respected COP21 world leaders in Paris, France in 2015,
Supreme Master Ching Hai urgently advised them to implement vegan law as the solution to mitigate global warming. The letter reads as follows. Respected COP21 World Leaders Paris, my special salute and best wishes to all of your distinguished, honored ladies and gentlemen who have gathered in Paris for the protection of our world. This is just a reminder that just paying money alone cannot save lives, but being vegan does. A lot of evidence and information about this for you to consider are in the book From Crisis to Peace, free online at crisis2peace.org. Countless lives in the present and future, including yours and your children's future, children of your children's, are in your hands. Save them by voting for and implementing vegan law to stabilize the climate. Otherwise, lives on Earth will perish and we will be committing a graver offense than all the acts of killing and wars combined. With all love in God, yours most sincerely, Supreme Master Ching Hai. Vegan.
Coloro poi che fervorosi di spirito per la carità e per lo zelo della verità coltiveranno la pietà, come i disobbedienti e scismatici, soffriranno persecuzione ed ingiurie.
Those who stand firm to their morals and try to protect our planet from violence and destruction are these days often labeled as rebels and criticized. There are also very few vegan or even vegetarian churches who truly follow God's commandments. And outspoken anti-abortion priests are even criticized by the Roman Catholic Church, who should be protecting the sanctity of life.
And a chef has banned vegans from his restaurant after being criticized by customers for the lack of plant-based options.
Pastor Stephen Anderson is a Christian preacher who gets really mad about vegans.
Truck hitter. Jesus Christ.
Animal rights activist Regan Russell was killed while standing in front of the entrance to Fearman Slaughterhouse.
Fulton police are conducting an investigation.
Regan was there telling the truth about what really happens to these animals, and she was killed as a result.
How many death threats have you had this week?
A lot of. I can't say a number because I don't know. It's a lot of messages.
Etc.
Our most beloved Supreme Master Ching Hai, vegan, has also suffered from criticism, attack, false media articles, false accusations, fanatic slandering, open and/or underground oppression, destructive propaganda, and more due to her, to use the words of Saint Francis' prophecy, fervor and adhere to virtue with love and zeal for the truth.
I could be also one of those who mysteriously die someday, who knows. So many spies of Russia have been after me since the war began, since I opened my mouth and told the truth about how horrible war is, how forbidden it should be, and how much suffering it will cause to both sides even, not just the Ukrainian people. For reminding people on this planet of the true teaching of all the masters, I had to endure a lot all these years. like dodging spies, drug murderers, and whatnot.
You aren't a spoilt child of an oligarch, squandering all hard-earned inheritance, are you? Okay, now, be vegan, make peace, save our world.
Perocché i loro persecutori, agitati dagli spiriti maligni, diranno che si rende un grande onore a Dio con l'uccidere e cancellare dalla terra uomini così pestilenti.
P. Francis is the first ever Jesuit Pope.
Jesuit extreme oath of induction. I do furthermore promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war secretly or openly against all heretics, Protestants and liberals, as I am directed to extirpate them from the face of the earth, and that I will spare neither age, sex or condition, and that I will hang, burn, waste, boil, flay, strangle and bury alive those infamous heretics, rip up the stomachs and wombs of the women, and crush their infants' heads against the walls in order to annihilate their inexorable race. That when the same cannot be done openly, I will secretly use the poisoned cup, the strangulating cords, the steels of the poniard, or the leaden bullets, regardless of the honor, rank, dignity, or authority of the persons, whatever may be their condition in life, either public or private, as I at any time may be directed to by any agent of the Pope or the Superior of the Holy Father of the Society of Jesus.
In facing the coming challenges, brothers and sisters, we should have the courage to act bravely and have trust in the Lord. We should heed the warnings issued by venerated Saint Francis of Assisi and maintain our high moral standards. The solution lies in our hands, and this can be very simple if we open our heart, listen to our Lord, and start to care and love. The love for the nature, the love for the animal people, and the love for each other. Treating all creatures with respect and compassion in our daily living was greatly emphasized by the venerated Saint Francis of Assisi, vegetarian. Animal people were often referred to as brothers and sisters by Saint Francis of Assisi.
If you have men who will exclude any of God's creatures from the shelter of compassion and pity, you will have men who will deal likewise with their fellow men. Saint Francis of Assisi, vegetarian.
È vero, chiamava di fratello, forse la prima persona nella storia che ha amato gli animali di fratelli. E questa è una cosa molto forte che fa capire, ripeto, l'anima di Francesco, che non era, ripeto, c'era un collegamento con il creatore di tutto, il padre di tutto, che vuole tutte le sue creature unite. E poi attenzione, Francesco quando chiamava di fratello non era un modo di dire, non era una poesia, un romantismo, era vero. Lui si faceva fratello perché si prendeva cura, difendeva tutti, a iniziare dai poveri, dai malati e poi degli animali.
While warning us about the great tribulation, The venerated saint reminded us to have compassion for all creatures and that it's our duty to help and protect our animal people. Saint Francis of Assisi lived by example of a life of compassion and benevolence by observing a vegetarian lifestyle. Despite the early warning by Saint Francis of Assisi, people continue to kill, torture, and consume animal people as food. Billions of animal people are being killed and tortured on a daily basis due to the meat and dairy industries and people's ignorance. The killings, torturing, or wars that are happening today are what were foretold. Protecting and saving our animal people are our duty. To stop the killing is not enough. We have the responsibility to care and be of service to our fellow co-inhabitants.
Not to hurt our humble brethren, the animal people, is our first duty to them, but to stop there is not enough. We have a higher mission, to be of service to them whenever they require it. St. Francis of Assisi, vegetarian.
Il Signore però sarà loro il rifugio degli afflitti e li salverà, perché posero la speranza in Lui, e per rendersi conformi al loro capo agiranno con fiducia, e con la morte comprandosi la vita eterna, eleggeranno di ubbidire piuttosto a Dio che agli uomini, e ricusando a consentire alla falsità e alla perfidia, non paventeranno punto il morire.
Saint Francis also says that those who are on the positive side and follow God's will shall receive eternal life instead. Those who are vegan and do good deeds will be protected and enter heaven in the afterlife.
弟子在最近一次打坐中，看到天空中有无数的银白色飞船，如蛇形般的排列来到地球，陆续停在山腰间的草地上。显然，那些飞船是给吃纯素的人搭的，唯有吃纯素才有资格上飞船。至于这些坐上飞船的人，应将是地球下一次文明的地球人种。
师姐的爸爸往生的隔天，跟师父一起回来，转达他想感恩师父的恩典。他只是一位修行方便法的普通人，然而因为开始吃素食，救助而照养流浪狗族人。师父说，因为他吃素不杀生，又救助流浪动物族人的生命，所以师父带他走，让他去新乐土修行。他往生时，因此没有痛苦地离开了。他想告诉世人，吃纯素食不伤害生命，就可以快乐的往生，快乐的去佛土。
Our sincere gratitude to venerated Saint Francis of Assisi for leaving future generations these important warnings to choose the right way during this critical time on our earth, and for returning to us again as the most benevolent Supreme Master Qinghai, who continues to sacrifice for all sentient beings and reminds us again and again to return to our true selves as the children of God, which is the only way to save ourselves and our earth.
All information concerning the scientific evidence of climate change and its solution is in Supreme Master Qinghai's book, From Crisis to Peace, free for download at crisistopeace.org.
There are 211 countries and regions which have animal people protection laws. Anguilla is one of them. Anguilla, Protection of Animals Act, 2000. In Anguilla, if any person commits an act of cruelty towards animal people, he or she is liable to a fine of 4,800 East Caribbean dollars or 1,800 US dollars and or a jail term of 6 months.
Obey the law of your country. No more animal people slaughterhouses. No more hurting. No more murdering them to eat, to lab test, or for any reason at all. Be vegan. Make peace. So be it.
Vegan, 'cause if we cannot help, we don't want to hurt.
Thank you, gracious viewers, for your company today. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. May your soul be uplifted by the serenity and love of the divine.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds. Heaven Godspeed.
Russia, leave Ukraine or your reign now. Peace be with you too.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/AP.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/AP.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/AP.
Műsoraink sok nyelvet tartalmaznak. Kérjük, tekintse meg itt suprememastertv.com/schedule és suprememastertv.com/AP.